All right, let's just dive right in. Let's talk about consciousness. I mean, it's the simplest thing in the world, right? It's the fact that you are here, experiencing this right now. But how? Seriously, how does a 3-pound lump of matter inside your skull produce the feeling of being you? This isn't just a tricky question. It's one of the deepest puzzles in all of science and philosophy. And we're about to go on a kind of intellectual detective story to see if we can unravel it.
Think about it like this. You stub your toe. Ouch. We actually know what's happening on a physical level, right? We know about the nerve signals, the C fibers firing, all the little calcium ions rushing around. We can measure all of that stuff. But what about the feeling of pain? That subjective, private, unmistakable ow. Where does that come from? See, that gap, the gap between the physical process and the inner experience, that is the absolute heart of the mystery.
You know, the philosopher Jerry Fodor just nailed the problem with this quote. What he's saying is, it's not that we're just missing a piece of the puzzle. It's more like we don't even know what the puzzle pieces are supposed to look like in the first place. It's a mystery on a completely different level.
Now, when you have a mystery this big, you need a lead detective. And for our story, that detective is Robert Lawrence Kuhn, the host of the series Closer to Truth. He took on this absolutely monumental task to create a comprehensive map of every single theory of consciousness out there just to see if he could find a path forward.
And when I say monumental, I am not kidding. The scale of this project was just immense. His final paper wasn't some quick little summary, it was an absolute epic, weighing in at a staggering 175,000 words. I mean, that's the length of a pretty hefty novel. And inside that massive text, he didn't just cover the big, popular ideas. No, he cataloged and meticulously analyzed over 250 different, distinct theories of what consciousness might be. Just imagine that. And to back it all up, his investigation pulled from nearly 2,000 different academic references. So this wasn't just a casual overview. This was, you could argue, the most comprehensive survey of the entire field ever attempted. So okay, after all that work, what did our detective find? Well, he uncovered a central, baffling clue, something that makes consciousness a uniquely peculiar scientific problem.
In pretty much every other field of science, the more data we collect, the more theories we can rule out, right? We get closer and closer to the truth. But in consciousness research, the exact opposite is happening. The more we learn about the brain, the more theories pop up. It's like a blizzard of ideas that's getting thicker and thicker, not thinner. So how on earth do you even start to sort through this blizzard of theories? Well, Kuhn identified the first major challenge, what he calls the order of magnitude problem. And what that basically means is that the suspects, the different theories, they can't even agree on the location of the crime scene.
I mean, just look at this range. You've got some materialist theories saying consciousness happens at the subatomic quantum level. Others say, no, maybe a single cell has it. Or is it at the level of neurons and synapses? Or maybe entire neural circuits? Some say it's a field generated by the whole brain, and some even argue it extends beyond the brain and out into the world. The scale of disagreement here is just extraordinary.
But despite all this complexity, Kuhn found that you can sort all these theories into two fundamental camps. And this creates what he calls the Great Divide, a deep schism that runs right through the heart of the entire investigation.
And as you can see, it's pretty wild. The entire field is split almost perfectly down the middle. About half of the theories are purely materialist, and the other half propose that consciousness has to involve something, well, non-physical.
So here's the core difference. It's actually pretty simple. Materialist theories start with the assumption that the physical world, matter, energy, the laws of physics, that's all there is, period. Consciousness has to arise from that, somehow. But the non-physical theories, they argue that reality must include something more, something fundamental beyond the purely physical in order to explain our inner experience.
Okay, so the field is completely divided. What was Kuhn's final verdict? Well, to get there, he adopted this method of just radical impartiality, which is what led him to his very, very surprising conclusion.
He actually described his method like this. For each and every one of those 250-plus theories, he would inhabit it. He'd pretend it was his own theory to present it in its best possible light. And then, once he was done, bam, he'd just clear his mind completely and move on to the next one, giving every single one a fair and equal hearing. And his commitment to this impartiality is, frankly, staggering. If you don't believe me, get this. Out of 175,000 words detailing the landscape of all these theories, he dedicated only 72 words to his own personal opinion. And even then, he called it deliberately incoherent. He just wanted the evidence to speak for itself.
And that evidence led him to this, the stunning verdict. After surveying the entire field, his conclusion wasn't that one theory was right and the others were wrong. It was that none of them work. We're not drowning in too many answers. We're missing the real one entirely.
So, why does all this matter? I mean, why is this unsolved case more than just some scientific curiosity? Because, as Kuhn argues, it points to one of the most astonishing facts about reality itself.
The technical term for what we've been talking about this whole time is phenomenal consciousness. It's not about what your brain is doing, but what it feels like to be you. You know, the smell of coffee, the color red, the feeling of joy when you see a friend. It is your own private inner movie.
And when you really stop and think about it, the fact that this inner movie is playing at all inside of you right now, in a universe that is otherwise just rocks and gas and gravity and radiation, well, that might be the single most remarkable, most astonishing fact we know about our reality.
And this is the ultimate takeaway. Consciousness isn't just some weird little evolutionary accident, some footnote in the story of the cosmos. According to Kuhn, it is arguably the single most important clue we have for understanding the fundamental nature of reality itself. It's not the footnote, it's the headline.
So, after all of this, the investigation kind of turns back to you. The most important piece of evidence isn't out there in a lab somewhere. It's the very experience you are having right this second. So the final question is, what does your inner movie, your own consciousness, tell you about the nature of reality?